Welcome to the Thriving Scapegoat, a podcast for women who are cast as the problem, when in truth, they were the truth tellers. I'm your host, Julie Cielos, somatic coach, author, and guide for women healing from complex trauma, family enmeshment, and the invisible wounds of being scapegoated. If you ever felt misunderstood, exiled, or blamed for dynamics you didn't create, if you've done the deep work to break the generational patterns and you're ready to reclaim your voice, your body, and your life, you're in the right place. This is where we stop over-explaining, stop performing for love, and start living in alignment with what's real. Here we talk about nervous system healing, shadow work, emotional sovereignty, and what it takes to not just survive your past, but thrive beyond it. Because you were never too much. You were never the problem. You were the disruption to the dysfunction, and now you get to become the woman who rises because of it. Let's begin. Hi. Welcome to the Thriving Scapegoat podcast. This is a place for women that have spent their entire lives being the strong one, the capable one, the sensitive one, the one that could see what nobody else wanted to see and somehow ended up being the problem because of it. If you've ever felt like you were the black sheep of your family, posed as the difficult one at work, the one that got labeled too much, too intense, too emotional, too independent, there's a very real chance that you were the scapegoat. And if you're listening to this and you're in your late 30s, 40s, 50s, or even 60s, chances are that you're dealing with the physical cost of being in that role. Burnout, autoimmune, hormone chaos, chronic tension in your body, exhaustion that you can't explain, estrangement, deep loneliness, or the realization that the life that you built doesn't actually feel like your own. This podcast is about what happens after you realize that. Not just how to survive being the scapegoat, but how to thrive as one. So let's talk about what a scapegoat really is. When most people hear the word scapegoat, they think it means the person who gets blamed. But in trauma psychology, the scapegoat is something very specific. So in toxic, dysfunctional systems, in families, workplaces, marriages, communities, there's often one person that carries the truth the system doesn't want to face. And that person becomes the container for the tension. They get labeled too difficult, too dramatic, too honest, just too much. Not because they're broken, but because the system needs someone to hold what no one else is willing to hold. Very often, the scapegoat is the most intuitive one, the most empathetic one, the one with the strongest nervous system, sensitive, and honestly, the least superficial and the most deep. They're the ones that everyone is jealous of, the one that feels everything. But when you grow up in that role and your body learns something very young, it learns that being yourself, speaking your truth, is dangerous. So you adapt, you hide, you overfunction, you people please, you become hyper independent. You silence your most authentic voice, or you collapse, dissociate, or you get sick. And by the time you reach midlife as a woman, your nervous system is done carrying whatever never belonged to you. You want to know why scapegoats often don't wake up until midlife? It's mostly women between 35 and 65 that I see in my work for a reason. This awakening happens at this time of our life. Midlife is when the body stops tolerating what the mind has been overriding for decades. Hormones change. Stress tolerance drops. Inflammation rises. And autoimmune conditions that have already shown up start to get worse. Sleep gets weird. Weight shifts. Anxiety spikes. Grief surfaces and anger surfaces. So many women think that something has gone wrong. But very often, nothing has gone wrong. It's just your body is starting to tell the truth for the first time. The role that you played to survive in your family, your marriage, your career, your culture is no longer sustainable. And this is why so many scapegoats end up estranged in midlife, or they change careers, or divorce. 69% of divorces, women, moving, losing relationships, or starting to question everything, not because they've failed, but because their nervous system will not lie anymore. So let's talk about estrangement, boundaries, and other ways that scapegoats survive. Estrangement is one way that scapegoats survive, not the only way, and I'm not suggesting that's the right way for everyone. Some people stay in contact with their families and learn boundaries and can manage these people, but some people go low contact. Others walk away completely. Some people leave marriages. Some people stay, but just stop playing the role that they were assigned. That's difficult. Some people change careers and people get sick before they wake up. There's no one path here, but there is one common thread that I see over and over again. Scapegoats only start to heal when they stop trying to prove their innocence to people who need them to stay guilty. And that's the turning point. That is when the nervous system starts to come out of survival and into what I call surthrival. That's whenever thriving becomes possible. So what does it mean to be a thriving scapegoat, you ask? A thriving scapegoat is not someone who got revenge. It's not someone who finally got their family to understand them. It's not someone who became perfect, peaceful, or healed overnight. No. It's not someone that finally explained themselves enough to those committed to misunderstanding them either. A thriving scapegoat is someone who stopped abandoning themselves to keep the system comfortable. Someone who can feel without collapsing, tell the truth without apologizing, and rest without guilt. Having boundaries without panic. Being able to move without urgency. Having joy without waiting for permission. Thriving means your body is no longer living in the role that you are forced into. And thriving means your nervous system knows that you're safe now. And that's the work that we do here. So on this podcast, we're going to talk about things most people don't talk about. Things like family estrangement, narcissistic abuse, complex PTSD, burnout, autoimmune illness, and midlife awakening, which means sovereignty. We're going to go deep into sovereignty and boundaries. We're going to talk about grief, and we're going to talk about anger. Nervous system healing and what it takes to build a life that feels like your own. So if you've ever felt like you were the one that carried everything, you're not alone. And you're not broken. And you might just be the scapegoat who finally stopped holding what was never yours. This is the Thriving Scapegoat podcast. If today's episode resonated, that's your entry point. Healing scapegoating isn't just insight, it's nervous system work. And this is what I teach through Seasonal Somatics, a body-based method that helps you regulate, reconnect, and move with real change. I offer weekly group classes, both in-person and online, immersive retreats, and limited one-on-one mentorship. You can find all the details in the show notes. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it, and make sure you're subscribed. Until next time, choose truth over belonging, self-trust over self-abandonment. You didn't just survive this to stay stuck. You're here to thrive.